Okay, there's a response that makes a big difference. Today, I dare to call myself a Dutch Indian. That's the identity that I have for myself and that I give myself, and I let others give me. However, for me to come to this identity has been interesting. It's been a journey, and it's been very, let's say, full of lessons. It's been very varied. So I say Dutch Indian, and let's take the first half of that, Dutch. When the first time that I recollect that I realized how Dutch I am was during one of my annual family visits to India with my nuclear family visiting my extended family. So I have to also point out at this point that I was a teenager, so I think a lot of this story has a lot to do with hormones and being stubborn and not really caring about the rest of the world. But you can judge that for yourself. So anyway, one day I went to the shopping mall with my cousin, who's about the same age as I, and we were trying on dresses in the stores and having a good time. And she stepped out of the dressing room wearing this dress. And she was so excited. She goes, "Oh my God, look at this dress. It's so cute. I love this. Oh my God, I can't wait to buy it." So she's really enthusiastic. My reaction was the complete opposite. I was very dry. I was like, yeah, I don't think this doesn't suit you. It doesn't look very nice at all. You should change, try something else. Try this dress, it looks much better. No, but look at the color, look at the frills. Oh my God, I love it. I love how it's like this and like that. I really don't see it. In fact, I think the color is really shabby and it's really not flattering your figure or anything. You know what, just change out of this. We'll go to another store and we'll figure it out. Like really, that's so disgusting. Change out. All of a sudden, there's silence between us. Her mood changes. She goes back into the changing room. She changes out of clothes. And we walk out of the store. And there's evident awkwardness between us. But I didn't know why, and honestly, I also didn't think about it too much. It wasn't until we met up with our moms that my mother overheard my aunt and my cousin speaking, and she pulled me aside. She's like, "Right. So when people ask for your feedback, especially on this trip, you need to mince your words." Yeah, but she really didn't look nice. She looked terrible. Yes, I know. You're trying to be nice, but you just need to watch what you say. It's not that easy. People are not going to take it back the same way. I was like, yeah, but I wouldn't let my friend walk out like that. Why should I let her? Listen, I know we'll get into it later, but just for now, just mince your words, right? Like, let's just be careful or think twice about what you want to say. All right, fine. Now, like I said, I'm a teenager, so anything at this point that's said to me goes through one ear and completely out the other. That evening, we're on the dinner table with everybody, and we're discussing our plans for the next day, which we've already chalked out. All of a sudden, from left, right, and center, we're getting recommendations, we're getting ideas, we're getting suggestions. And these are not just being told to us, they're being forced upon us. At least that's what it felt like for me. It was so overwhelming. I couldn't understand what was going on. Why are we being told to change our route for the day? Why are we told which restaurants we should and should not eat at and what dishes we shouldn't? But how does this even make sense? So I was like, wait, hold on. Who on this table is actually joining us tomorrow? Now, there are 10 people on the table, and only 4 people are going. My parents, my brother, and myself. What is the commotion? Again, my mom pulls me to the side, and she goes, okay, it seems overwhelming. Everyone's giving their suggestions. I'm like, yeah, everyone's giving me their suggestions, and they're making us change our plans. Why do we have to change our plans? She's like, okay, yeah. It seems like it. It seems like they're forcing you to do something, but they're not. It's because they're not going to be there tomorrow, and they're not physically going to be there. They're giving their suggestions so they can still be part of the plans. They're trying to feel included. They're showing their affection. Yeah, but it's not needed. Yeah, it's not needed for you, but it's for them. Just the same way, like how they keep putting food on your plate, even though you couldn't have another bite, It's their way of showing love. It's okay. Accept it. Open up. All right. So, who I am today is a mix of different cultures. What I do is I talk and I learn about other cultures and other backgrounds, and I pick and choose what I like, and I keep evolving myself. However, those aspects that I don't necessarily like so much, it doesn't mean I close them off. I keep asking questions so that, at least for myself, I can defend why I don't want to take on a certain part of a culture or a certain part of a personality, why it doesn't suit me. That's also really important. From that, I can say, okay, this is who I am today, and a mix of everything. I went to an international school, and over there you're taught not to stereotype. You're taught not to give labels. But that's so contrary to how the real world is. And then I didn't know about this, though. I didn't learn about labels and stereotyping and identities until much later in my life. And I also didn't feel the need then to identify myself with a certain culture or country or religion or background. But as I would learn later, I'd forced to do so. So I went to university. I went to the university in the UK, and I was about 17 years old, completely lost, somewhat pampered. Now, I mean, there's some people in this audience that could say that I'm still pampered, but that is a conversation for another day. At that point, I had never even done laundry without adult supervision. I hadn't really cooked a proper meal in my life. Totally new world, new experience for me. My flatmates were amazing. They really taught me how to adult. You know, they taught me how to cook, how to do laundry, how to clean up myself. It was great. So I was learning a lot, and I was having a really good time in my new environment. But I was still feeling homesick. I was missing something. I was missing the familiarity of home. Until I bumped into two British Asian girls who happened to be my neighbors as well. And since the first hello, we completely hit it off. It was great. And through them, they took me to my first Bollywood club night. And I remember I walked into this club, and there was Bollywood and Bhangra music blazing through the speakers, and I felt totally in my element. I mean, I ran straight onto the dance floor, and then you lost me for the whole night. What happened was, subsequently, they took me for more and more socializers, where I came across more people with a similar background and ethnicity as mine. And I was holding conversations with these people, and it was funny because we all had the same kind of anecdotes. We know when we went on family vacations, we maybe had the same communication backgrounds with our parents, for example. And, more interestingly, we had similar habits, and habits that I had never really thought twice about, but maybe to someone not from the same background were actually unusual, but amongst ourselves were totally normal. That's when I realized, oh yeah, I'm actually really Indian as well. So who in this hall has ever judged someone? Who's guilty of judgment? Come on, guys. I know you can do better. Anyone who hasn't put up their hand is clearly lying, because we've at least once in our life judged someone. And that's okay. It's what we do. But what is a judgment? It's a preconceived idea that we have of someone, a situation, or something. So let's take this preconceived idea that we have of someone. We think they're going to be a certain way because we've put them in a box. We've stereotyped them. And based on what? Perhaps how they look or where they come from. So we think, okay, this is what you look like, this is what you're going to be. That's how we're going to make that connection. Why do you put someone in a box? Because it's easier for us to connect with that person, because then we pretend to understand them. We're not really making that extra effort to understand them. So my label in university was an Indian girl with an American accent, but is from Amsterdam. That was my label. So actually, the truth is, I stuck out when I was in university. It's how I made most of my friends. Today, I stick out as well. I'm a woman in a man's world. I'm trying to make a difference in a community that's generally led by a generation above me. I'm a short brown girl in a country full of very, very, very tall people. So of course I'm going to get noticed. And that's great. I want to get noticed. I'm going to make that work for me. So how do I try and connect to another person? It's about trying to find out what common interests do we have or experiences. Now, two people could have the same opinion on a topic. However, the journey on how they got there is very different. People are very layered. We're not one-dimensional. We all have our own, say, backstory. When I moved from the Netherlands, moved back to the Netherlands from the UK, I came in contact with a lot of people who had just moved here from different countries. You know, they'd lived in several cities. You know, some of them maybe are from different backgrounds as well. And what I realized is that they had misconceptions about their new environment. They didn't understand it. They were complaining. So what happens when you move to a new country from another one? You start comparing about all the other places that you've lived in. And also, at first, the qualities that you don't like in your new environment, I guarantee you, over time, those qualities, you start to see the beauty in them. You start liking them. And that's when you know you found a new home. But that's also because you've understood why things are the way they are. So like I said, when I moved back to the Netherlands, I was in contact with a lot of people from different backgrounds who just moved here, let's call them, whether they're expats or immigrants. And their misconception about the Dutch culture was that the Dutch are cold. They're not hospitable. If I look around, I see a lot of blank faces. You don't recognize that. Of course not. So when I was getting this feedback, I started defending the culture. I'd be like, no, but it's not what you think it is. And I started explaining why certain things were done the way they are. Some people still look a little bit blank to me. So now, I'll take a very concrete example. It's 6 o'clock, and I go visit, 6 o'clock in the evening, and I go visit my Dutch neighbor, and I ring on their doorbell. Ding dong. The door opens, and my neighbor is there. They deal with me just at the door. Oh, there's a packet? Yep, here's your packet. Oh, you got a question? Yep. We'll talk about it. Can I help you with something? Oh, you want to invite me? Yep, fine. Everything is done at the door, and then they're going to send me on my way. Oh, this is resonating with a few people. Okay. But why is that? Now, to a non-Dutch person, and if I take, for instance, an Asian person or an Indian person, whatever, they say, yeah, but that's so cold. And I say, no, it's not cold. 6 o'clock is dinner time. You've disturbed dinner time. And now, they could invite you in. However, two things could happen. There are 4 people that are be sitting on the dinner table, and the Dutch meal is portioned. So either someone needs to give up their meal to accommodate you, or a meal needs to be cut in half to accommodate the person on the table who's already there and yourself. In this situation, both parties are not going to be satisfied. So why put yourself through that inconvenience and just be practical? I don't have enough food to offer the person, the unexpected visitor. Let's just be practical, deal with them at the door, and when we have a moment, we will invite them, but it's just not now. See, it's how you look at it. An Asian person could say it's cold, a Dutch person will say it's just being practical. In the end, you're both trying to be hospitable. So, the thing is, you're a product of your roots and your life choices. So whereas you don't need to fit into anyone else's box, someone else doesn't need to fit into the box that you've decided. Once you hold a conversation with another individual and you start talking to them, you break the barriers of communication, of culture, but also the barriers that you have in your own mind. You start seeing a beauty in a different culture. You start putting yourselves in someone else's shoes. You step out of your comfort zone, and who knows what you could learn. There's a beauty around every corner, but it's up to you to step out and see that beauty. Thank you.